to get to know a little bit about school board candidate Kathy Archer. I would like to thank everyone for attending this evening and spending your time to get to know Kathy, her platform, and her perspective regarding many current school board and community issues. My name is Heather Lynn, and I will be serving as your moderator. Behind the scenes, we have several members of Kathy's committee helping me monitor the meeting and assisting to make sure that we get to as many of your questions as possible. Before we begin, I would like to review just a few details about this meeting structure. This meeting is recorded and it may be broadcast at a later time for other community members to watch and to learn about Kathy. Our format is designed as a webinar. First, we will let Kathy introduce herself, and then I will ask her some commonly asked questions about hot topics in the community. And last, time permitting, of course, we will be able to answer as many questions from the audience as possible. A webinar format means that though you can see Kathy and me, we can't see you. We can, however, see your names as a participant, and we know you are there. If you have any questions at all, please type them in the Q&A chat box, and we will try to address as many as we can. If Kathy does not answer your particular question live on the webinar due to time constraints, please be sure to check your email. Committee members are keeping track of all of your submitted questions, and Kathy will personally respond afterward. Now that we have addressed the format of tonight's presentation, let me introduce myself and why Kathy has my full endorsement. Again, my name is Heather Lynn. I'm a tried and true Claremontian. I was born and raised as CUSD. I attended Condit, El Roble, and Claremont High School, class of 1998. My mom was also all three. She attended Sycamore, El Roble, and CHS, and she taught at Condit for 34 years as a teacher. So I grew up in this district. This is currently my 17th year teaching English at El Roble. In my tenure, I've taught over 3,000 students. In the early 2000s, I was also the CHS swim team coach. And in my 5 years coaching, I had an average of 150 students on my swim team each season. My husband and I live in Claremont, and we have 2 kiddos who attend Claremont schools, Condit and El Roble. My daughter is in fact a 3rd generation El Roble student. To say that CUSD is my family would be an understatement. Like most teachers living in Claremont, you know that you're a big deal when your kids say hi to you in the bonds. My colleagues and friends would tell you that I tend to skirt political conversations socially and that I'm not the type to stand on a soapbox to preach my opinions to all. However, when I do speak up, when I give my endorsement, it's a big deal, and I do endorse Kathy. My endorsements don't come lightly. I rarely give them, and on the occasion that I do, I wholeheartedly feel that my support can make a difference for the better in our community. That's why I'm here tonight supporting Kathy. I, like many of you, have school-age children that will be directly affected by the decisions made by our school board in the upcoming months. I've known Kathy for a little over a decade, and through a mutual group of mama friends, we were introduced. I'm not sure about you, but I never really knew the real meaning of "it takes a village" until my kids started school, and I was introduced to the power and the strength of parents in Claremont. From the first day we met, Kathy and I discovered that we have many uncanny similarities. Discovering her was like finding a long-lost twin sister. Our taste in food, movies, vacation styles, nail polish colors, they're almost identical. Our opinions about work, curriculum, and how we manage classrooms are exactly the same. She is a fierce friend, supporting me as a colleague, trusting me to be her daughter's teacher for both 7th and 8th grade English, and dedicating herself to all of the causes important to our family. Her personality traits are being loyal. She's the kind of friend that you would want to have your back. She's wise. She's been just about everything that a teacher and a mom could possibly be through. Her experience in the classroom on both sides as a teacher and a mom are paramount as we move forward in these like super weird times. She's trustworthy. I would trust her to make some decisions for my family. That is how you truly weigh the trust that you have in someone else. And when she is elected, she will be doing exactly that, making decisions that directly affect my children, my students, and the CUSD staff. She's caring. As a teacher, she sees that what we need to do is put what's best for the children first. Above all else, it is our duty to do right by the younger generations. She's hardworking. She puts her all into everything that she does. I know that she never does anything halfway, and she is dedicated and works tirelessly to a positive outcome. She's smart. Did you know she was a lawyer? I didn't know that until recently, but that takes some serious genius. And above all else, she's humble, which is the true weight of character. Nothing humbles you like being a secondary teacher. Kathy is not too proud to tell somebody that she doesn't know. I'll have to research that and get back to you. She won't weigh in on issues before doing the research and making a knowledgeable, informed decision. She will ask questions, and her every vote will weigh on her heart because she wants to do the very best for our schools. I can't think of anyone more perfect as school board member. Kathy Archer has my full-fledged endorsement, and I hope that if she doesn't have yours already, she will by the end of this meeting. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, I would like everyone to give a warm welcome to my friend, Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and what inspired you to run for this position?
Thank you, Heather. Just to say hello, everybody who came this evening. I appreciate your participating tonight. The encouragement that I have received from Claremont teachers, staff, coaches, and community volunteers has been so gratifying. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak with you tonight, and I really appreciate you being here. So this fall, 2 experienced women are stepping down from our current board, and it would be my honor to fill one of those vacant seats to ensure continued female representation and leadership on the Claremont School Board. Recent data from the Department of Education states that approximately 77% of public school teachers are female. About 54% of public school administrators are women. Conversely, less than a quarter of district superintendents and school board members are women. I've been a public school teacher for 23 years. I currently serve as the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program Coordinator and Advanced Placement Coordinator, and I teach 2 levels of world history. I describe myself as a pragmatic and practical educator. I approach decision-making carefully, and I assure you that I will take the time necessary to examine and assess all board policies and actions. I believe in evidence-based exploration of fact and not a rush to judgment. I was a member of the Measure G Steering Committee in 2016, which helped pass the bond to repair and modernize CUSD facilities. I serve as a member of the Board of Directors of the Claremont Educational Foundation, and I've worked on their grants, events, and SLICE committees. I'm passionate about public education and community service here in Claremont. When I was encouraged to run for the school board pre-COVID-19, it was a different time, and I wanted to serve our community and our schools and continue the tradition of female leadership on the board. Mid-campaign, my perspective shifted and my call to serve was amplified. This pandemic is redefining our educational system, and I want to be part of the conversations around safety, wellness, resources, and how to support students facing potential achievement gaps and social emotional challenges. I want to contribute to responsible fiscal management in a time of increasing budget challenges. I want to continue to foster the partnership between CUSD and its students and families through transparent conversation. And I want to focus on educational equity in our schools, ensuring that every student has the access and support they need to achieve individual academic success, regardless of their race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, disability, or gender identification. As a board member, I plan to work collaboratively to enhance existing programs and champion new opportunities, and most importantly, to support our students and their families and represent educators in our district.
Wonderful, Kathy. Thank you for sharing. I'd like to now take some time to ask some questions that we have prepared that are common questions that people ask often that are related to Kathy's campaign platform. Here's the first one. You are the only candidate who has openly opposed the immediate removal of the school resource officer in CUSD. Can you explain why you have taken this stance?
Of course. So I oppose the immediate cancellation of any program without a thoughtful review of district data and anecdotal reports from stakeholders. If elected, I commit to the best practice of investigating and openly discussing proposed program changes, cuts, and revisions before acting. While I support the district's choice to fund a school resource officer at this time, I also recognize the need to re-examine what the SRO program looks like. I've had many conversations with teachers, school nurses, counselors, students who rely on the SRO for very specific needs. SROs have a lot of responsibilities. They hold in-services for staff on the latest drugs so they can be vigilant in the safety of their classrooms. SROs can legally participate in school site intervention meetings to discuss at-risk students. They provide professional de-escalation to minimize harm and ensure safety in school violence situations. Some really interesting statistics were shared with me. The SRO in 2019 documented 19 suicide and crisis interventions in CUSD. That's 19 kids saved from harm. She also counseled 193 students and 127 adults needing support. That's really powerful information. Now, while these services are important, if students feel marginalized or profiled, that's equally important and needs to be addressed. I support a reframing of the SRO program to provide our community with an opportunity for reconciliation. I'm committed to participating in productive discussions about this and ensuring that the newly formed District Advisory Committee on Racial Equity examines the SRO program. I support continued conversation about how district staff, counselors, teachers, students, and the SRO can collaboratively and respectfully create stronger and more supportive campus communities.
Excellently put. Here's your second question. Educational equity has been a focus of your campaign. As an elected board member, what are your thoughts on how CUSD can close this gap?
So we need to always be mindful of the idea that in achieving equity, we are meeting students where they are. Teachers must offer differentiated instruction to a large group of students to meet their individual needs. And what that means is that you can't deliver the same content. You can deliver the same content to every kid, but you have to do it in a different way, and because every kid accesses curriculum differently. So it's no secret that students with extra resources who receive extra support and enrichment, like after-school tutoring or their parents' education level or their participation in summer programs, they're more likely to be academically successful. So the question is, what can we do as a community to address that equity gap, which is only being exacerbated during distance learning? So if you raise the overall level of instruction, all students will benefit. But unfortunately, the gap continues to grow. People say a rising tide lifts all ships. Instead, the focus should be on what each student needs to help him or her master the content being presented. So that comes in the form of not only differentiated instruction, but tiered intervention for those students that really need it. And what it looks like is it really depends on the class or the school. So for instance, a tier 2 intervention might look like 5 days a week, 8 students to 1 teacher, or a tier 3 intervention might be 1-to-1, 1 teacher, 1 student, maybe up to 300 minutes per week. So the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the move to distance learning has really brought student inequities to the surface. Some families are fortunate to be home during the day to assist their students. They can provide those external supports, such as tutoring or supplemental activities, to help them through distance learning. For others, consistent in-home educational support is not possible. And I have really big concerns about these educational gaps, many of which will not be known or fully understood until students return to school in person. A multi-tiered system of support and intervention will definitely be necessary to address the needs of students who fall behind during distance learning. As a board member, I'll advocate very strongly to help meet the needs of our most vulnerable populations. And a little bit more on equity. Educational equity also pertains to the measure of achievement, fairness, and opportunity in education for all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or gender identification. And CUSD has taken a very necessary step in forming the District Advisory Committee on Racial Equity. And I'm pleased to see the district's acknowledgement of this critical issue. And as a board member, I look forward to engaging in further conversations about thoughtful plans for action. Additionally, I'd like to see the implementation of a restorative justice program and preventative strategies implemented for adverse childhood experiences at all district sites. I'm confident that through ongoing, transparent, and collaborative conversations, we can begin to improve issues of educational equity in our schools. I look forward to being part of that process.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, question number 3. In this time of increasing fiscal uncertainty, what does responsible fiscal management look like to you?
So one of my platform points is responsible fiscal management. I believe that we should always be very mindful and engage in thoughtful planning, decisive decision-making regarding budgeting for programs, people, facilities, and resources. That's our reality. And we have to remain mindful of that as we approach some very steep financial challenges and cuts in funding from the state level. I was talking today to a 6th grade class, and the kids had researched my website quite extensively, and they said, "What do you mean by people?" And what I mean is 85%, give or take a percent or two, of the district's budget is or goes to people. And so we really have to make lots of, very important and very thoughtful decisions about how money is spent in the district. So as a board member, my goal would be always to keep cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. But as CUSD addresses current challenges and uncertainty, fiscal responsibility and conservative spending will be vital. So to reduce costs without cutting staff, faculty, or programs, that requires a reduction in expenses elsewhere. Hard decisions? Unavoidable. Reducing costs like transportation and the purchasing of supplies. That can help trim a budget while protecting staff and faculty. Opting out of professional development conferences and training can reduce costs, saving money on registration fees, substitute teachers, and transportation. Also, creative partnerships with local nonprofit organizations, including the Claremont Educational Foundation, to fund supplemental programs like art, music, and technology will be critical to sustain the specialized programs that make our educational offerings in Claremont so unique. So support from booster groups, parent-faculty associations, and organizations like Claremont After School Programs and Shoes That Fit will also be crucial to help sustain other important programs for our students. And really, the things that are least important are things that don't touch teachers in the classrooms. All the things that we can, maybe think about at a later time. When things get better, I hope.
Thanks, Kathy. So number 4 is, what do you think the biggest challenges will be for CUSD as we move from phase 1 to phase 2?
So safety and wellness has been a part of my platform from the beginning, and certainly those factor in. I know the district is working with the LA County Department of Public Health and has already started implementing safety guidelines in anticipation of students arriving in phase 2. For instance, all drinking fountains have been sealed off. 6 feet distance markers are in place in high traffic areas such as administration offices, Plexiglass partitions are in place where staff members have contact with visitors. There's signage posted about mask requirements, and the health department is making visits in anticipation of reopening. The bottom line is that the school board has indicated that they'll be carefully monitoring other districts as they begin to reopen, and will be working with the Department of Public Health to set a reopening date. So while safety is absolutely a priority, there's also a conversation about student and staff wellness. It's been 6 months of distance and isolation, and many students are eager to return to the classroom, and some are feeling anxious about it. And the challenge is going to be to offer appropriate support for students to help them reconnect academically and socially. One of the questions that the kids asked me today in the 6th grade class was how that was going to happen, and how they wanted suggestions from me about how they could connect with friends at this time, because they're feeling so isolated and lonely. And you know, it's really, teachers are feeling it too. We've started the year with students with whom we've had very little interaction. And when we go back, it's going to be like a first day of school. And in many ways, new and different expectations of staff and students, it's going to be an adjustment, and compliance and respect for others will be very important. As a 24-year educator, this is truly unprecedented. The biggest challenge is going to be to ensure safety while balancing the mental health and social emotional needs of students, teachers, and staff.
Thank you so much for that, Kathy. Here's question number 5. They just keep on coming. There are 3 candidates running for 2 open seats on the CUSD school board. What makes you the best fit for the Claremont community?
So I've been asked this question several times throughout the campaign, and I struggle with it because humility and acts of service are very important values to me. At the beginning of the campaign, I was told, you need to get out there, you need to sell yourself. And that's very much outside of my comfort zone. I can get up in front of a classroom all the time. And this has really been a very interesting journey for me, but I do think I'm the best fit. My opponents in the campaign have many strengths. So I've had to evaluate what it is that defines me as a leader and how I can best serve the Claremont community as a board member or potential board member. And here's why. I represent all of you. I'm a CUSD parent. My child has attended public schools since kindergarten. She's currently at CHS in 10th grade. I'm an attorney and have worked in the private sector. I'm a 24-year public school educator. I am on the front lines of education every single day. I've also lived in South Claremont for 25 years. I love this community, and I chose to raise a family and build my life here. I believe community service is a civic responsibility, and I actively participate with and financially support service groups throughout our town. I also believe in transparent communication. As an elected board member, I feel it's my responsibility to our community to listen to and discuss all matters openly. I encourage collaborative dialogue and would make that a priority of my school board service. I'm proud of the commitment and work of our current board and superintendent. I want to contribute to that team and work collaboratively with district leadership to make thoughtful and sound decisions that benefit students, teachers, and staff alike. And the question, what makes me the best fit for the Claremont School Board? To me, the answer is, I represent all of you. I want to be your ally and your voice on the board as CUSD continues to thrive and produce highly educated students prepared for the challenges of the 21st century.
Absolutely, Kathy. I wholeheartedly endorse you, especially because you represent us. So now we are going to transition from our pre-prepared commonly asked questions to some questions that are submitted from our audience members. So because it's a webinar, remember that we can only take questions that are from the chat and then I can read them, but I will read as many as I possibly can. So Kathy, our first one comes from Chris Canapeel. What personal values guide your life and drive your decisions?
The first thing that comes to my mind is I believe in that people should have integrity. And my dad taught me, my dad was a physician in the San Gabriel Valley for 30 some years. And he grew up in very poor circumstances and put himself through school, and my mom put him through medical school and never let us forget that. But he taught me that really and truthfully, that you treat everybody equally and you act with integrity and you are a trustworthy person. And those are the things that always guide me, along with loyalty. Once you get me as a friend, you don't get rid of me easily. So really, my values are honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, and loyalty. And I feel like those really drive everything that I do, from my marriage, my parenting, and my acting as a friend, and in the classroom. I try and be fair and consistent with my students. And as a board member, I think that those values of honesty and integrity and trustworthiness, I can take that into the boardroom.
Absolutely. So here's our second one. It's coming from Sue Keith. Hi, Sue. So she wants to know a little bit about your opinion regarding dual enrollment at CHS and San Antonio high schools.
So that's not something that, I'll be very honest with you. I'm thinking maybe we're talking about dual enrollment with CHS and Citrus. Which is an awesome program. And I know there's people on this call who their kids are involved with it. And it's an awesome, if we're talking about dual enrollment between CHS and Citrus, it's a program that allows students at CHS to be dual enrolled at Citrus and take courses. It's an awesome program to give them a head start on getting units. And also to get the experience of taking college level classes. We have an awesome partnership with Citrus College, and it gives these students the opportunity to take courses in a wide variety of subject areas and to get the type of exposure that they'll get with whatever educational path they choose, whether they choose to continue at a community college or take those units with them to another educational institution.
Great answer. So if there are any other questions, you can type them in the chat. I'll wave at Sue Keith again. She keeps messaging. Hi, Sue. Okay, so there are no other
questions. There is another question, and I'll actually read it out loud because I can see it in the chat.
Thank you.
Based on your experience as a CEF board member, what are both the opportunities and limitations of fundraising locally to supplant budget cuts that CUSD might have to make? So let's talk about opportunities first. Gosh, I just, let's see, October 3rd, I was looking at my Facebook memories, and a year ago, the other night was Big Check Night. We call Big Check Night is the night that the CEF board members go to the district and drop off the big check, the money that CEF has raised during the year on behalf or to benefit the district. And that money is distributed to all of the elementary schools and the middle school and the high school for arts, music, technology. And it has provided so many opportunities for our students, like iPads, like music instruction, arts instruction. And so then teachers also have an opportunity through CEF to apply for community partnership or teacher innovation grants and community partnerships. CEF also provides grants to our local community organizations and teachers so that they can engage in activities that are in the best interest of kids. So the limitations of fundraising locally, this is tough times, and I don't know that we know how tough it's going to be. We are limited by local industry, and our businesses are suffering in the village, we all know, and you know, people are having a hard time. So it will be harder for local and community organizations to raise the money. Do we hope we can? Absolutely. And we also have lots of competition for resources between local groups. You know, we have so many awesome organizations in Claremont, and there's, you know, it's going to all get spread very thinly, unfortunately. Well, our hope, my hope, and as an eternal optimist, is that recovery is just around the corner. I think FDR might have said that. Sorry, I'm a history teacher.
Absolutely. So this is the conclusion of this town hall meeting, and I just wanted to thank all of you for listening in and for all of your thoughtful questions, and of course thank Kathy for taking the time to share her platform with us, as well as her knowledge and expertise as it pertains to education. In closing, I would like to take a moment to remind everyone that November 3rd is less than a month away. So now is the time to help our candidate get as many votes as possible. Tell all of your friends and even people that you don't know all that well. As an employee, a resident, and a parent of CUSD students, I've seen that school boards function the very best when you have a collaborative group of individuals with varying experiences and backgrounds all working together. At CUSD, we have two women retiring from the school board, which is a loss for us, but we have a solution. It's Kathy. She is the only female running, and she is the only teacher running, and she is the only one who has had to implement distance learning from the front line, who goes through the same struggles that I'm going through, both as a parent and a teacher, daily. She knows what works and what doesn't. And in these unprecedented times, Kathy is what we need. She is responsible, thoughtful as a leader, and she is our girl. She's going to be the leader who takes us into the future of CUSD. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I'll turn it over to Kathy to say goodnight.
There's one more question about declining enrollment. Hold on, we're having technical issues. Declining enrollment, obvious, big issue. It's everywhere. And we have to do some strategic things to help combat it. So one of the things that we absolutely have to do is continue to offer robust programs like the AP program, the IB program, AVID, a multitude of athletics that students can choose from, and having a rich and robust number of programs makes Claremont a district of choice. We also need to remember that accepting interdistrict transfers is very helpful to address the issue of declining enrollment. Students coming in from other districts is extremely beneficial to CUSD. It puts bottoms in seats, and what that does is it helps fill sections, and that keeps jobs. And it also allows for Claremont parents to, at the elementary level, to choose the elementary schools where they can send their children. So I think we're just about ready to wrap it up if there are no more questions. And I really want to thank you, Heather, for hosting. And I want to thank all of the participants for really thoughtful questions and for joining our event this evening. If there's anything I haven't addressed, please reach out to me. I'm very honored to be part of this campaign. This is a really important thing that I feel that I've done in my life. And if elected, I will serve with thoughtfulness and responsibility. I look forward to working collaboratively with all stakeholders to make sure that all students are successful. And I want you to please join this call to action by going to my website at kathyarcher4cusd.com. That's the number 4, kathyarcher4cusd.com. Click on endorsement to officially endorse me, express your financial support if you're able, and request a yard sign. We only have about 20 signs left. And please, and most importantly, your ballots came in the mail over the weekend, and my name is first, and I hope your pen will stop there first. I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I respectfully ask for your vote. Good night, everybody. Oops. Okay, wait, that's...